It is the 2nd century BC in Chenggu in Shaanxi Province, China, a major political and cultural hub, a city bustling with change, ambition. Chenggu is strategically located in the Wei River Valley, an area crucial for agriculture, commerce and cultural development in ancient China. This region, rich in resources and connected to other parts of the empire, had an interest in exploration and trade, setting the foundation for this city's influential role in the opening of the Silk Road. This is the city that greeted Zhang Qian, a figure who would rise to the challenge, connecting cultures across continents. Zhang Qi was born in the early days of the Han Dynasty, around 195 BC, in the heart of what is now Shaanxi Province. This was a time when the Han Dynasty, under the ambitious rule of Emperor Wu, was solidifying its power, expanding its reach, and setting the foundations of what would be an era of stability and innovation. His family's lineage was modest, yet his parents valued knowledge, duty, and the honour that came with serving their dynasty. Growing up, he was a curious child. He spent hours listening to the stories of travellers passing through his town, captivated by the tales of distant lands, strange peoples, and even stranger customs. His family, seeing his bright mind and relentless curiosity, ensured he received a solid education. He studied the Confucian classics and learned the art of diplomacy, an unusual yet strategic choice, as most of boys his station were trained for the military service. His education in diplomacy was perhaps a stroke of fate, and it would soon shape the course of his life. By the time he reached adulthood, Zhang Qi was known for his intellect and courage. In 138 BC, he was summoned to the imperial court. Emperor Wu, who had ambitious plans to expand the empire's influence, handpicked him for a monumental mission. China's northern frontiers were constantly under threat from the Xiongnu, a nomadic tribe skilled in warfare, and Emperor Wu sought alliances to counter this threat. His eyes were set on reaching the Weijiu, an elusive people rumoured to inhabit distant lands far to the west. Zhang Qian was told to lead an expedition to make contact with these people, establishing ties so he could help the Han Dynasty push back the Xiongnu threat. The mission was bold. He, along with 100 men, set off toward the unknown. This journey, however, would be fraught with danger from the start. Zhang Qi and his men were soon captured and held prisoner for over a decade. Yet even in captivity, Zhang Qi's determination did not waver. He studied the culture, memorised landscapes, and learned the movement of his captors, patiently waiting for an opportunity to escape. After 11 long years, that opportunity came. He and his remaining companions managed to slip away. Guided by sheer will, they continued westward, passing through the harsh deserts, mountainous terrain that stood between them and the Weijiu. Finally, they reached their territory, but the alliance that Zhang Qi had hoped for was not to be. Still, his journey was not in vain. He made detailed notes of every place he passed, the goods that were traded, the languages spoken, and the customs observed. On his return to China, nearly 13 years after he had first set out, he arrived battered, exhausted, but alive, and with an invaluable knowledge that would change the course of history. His journey laid the groundwork for what would become known as the Silk Road, a network of trade routes connecting China to lands as far as Rome. His accounts of riches and cultures of Central Asia opened up the emperor's eyes to the world of possibilities. Zhang Qi was soon tasked with building this road. Zhang Qi knew, on his return back, that he would need to build rest stations for weary travellers. These rest stations would have to be spaced between 30 to 40 kilometres apart, as this was the typical distance a caravan could travel in one day. These distances were ideal for traders and travellers, offering a chance to rest, resupply, and protect their goods from the harsh conditions of deserts, mountains, or hostile territories. On the Central Asian part of the route, rest stations were placed strategically. The network was extensive, often covering thousands of kilometres over different empires and landscapes. One of these particular rest stations was on the edge of the Gobi Desert. It was a small but strategic structure, designed to support merchants and travellers that had made their way along the long journey of Asia's deserts. In the heart of the Silk Road, nestled along a desert expanse, this curious tale unfolded: the One Brick Station. This station would become a symbol of Zhang Qian's brilliance and ambition. When the station was nearing its completion, Zhang Qian, a man of meticulous detail and mathematical precision, orders the construction of one final brick. But not just any brick. This brick, he insists, must be placed just a little higher than all the others. The reasoning behind this single extra brick is as simple as it is profound. By adding that one final brick, he proves his unrivaled ability to calculate, measure, and to foresee. In a world where survival depends on minute accuracy and the perfect execution of plans, this symbolic gesture demonstrates his genius. It's a calculated move, a statement to those who follow that even the smallest steps can carry the weight of a larger purpose. As for the extra brick, it is said to have stood as a marker of ingenuity, precision, and the will of a man who ensured the Silk Road wasn't just a path of trade, but a link between civilizations, a bridge between the cultures of East and West. In this simple gesture, left behind on an outpost, his journey became the stuff of legend. His vision, innovation, helping to shape the world in ways that resonate even today. And all of it, in part, began with placing just one brick. In the 21st century, the concept of the Silk Road has undergone a revival, particularly through China's ambitious Belt and Road Initiative. Launched in 2013 by President Xi Jinping, the BRI aims to recreate the historical Silk Road spirit by constructing new infrastructure, enhancing trade links and fostering international collaboration across Asia, Europe and Africa, with more than 140 countries involved. The initiative seeks to reignite the flow of goods, capital and culture that once passed along these ancient routes. Much like its ancient counterpart, the modern Silk Road is not confined to one singular route. Rather, it consists of a series of land and sea corridors that facilitate trade between East and the West. On land, the BRI features highways, railways and pipelines that stretch from China to Central Asia, the Middle East and Europe. These projects do not only aim to boost trade, but also facilitate cultural exchanges, tourism and cooperation between nations. On the seas, new maritime trade routes are being developed to connect ports in China with those in Africa and Europe, mimicking the sea routes that will also be part of the ancient Silk Road system. While the Silk Road as a route of trade may no longer exist in its original form, many of its physical remnants still stand today, attracting tourists, archaeologists and historians alike. The cities that once thrived as hubs of commerce are now bustling modern metropolises, yet they preserve echoes of their ancient past. In China, the ancient capital known as Chang'an served as the eastern terminus of the Silk Road, and remains a centre of historical significance. Visitors can explore the famous terracotta army and the ancient city walls. Tourism along the Silk Road has now become a thriving industry, with travellers seeking to experience the legacy of this historic trade route firsthand. Guided tours take visitors through the deserts of Central Asia, the mountains of Afghanistan and the bustling markets of Istanbul, offering glimpses into the past while connecting it with the present. The historic Silk Road cities are not only popular for their ancient ruins and their architectural marvels, but also their modern-day cultural significances. Modern transport networks, such as high-speed trains, well-maintained highways, make it easier for travellers to travel through regions once considered difficult to access. This renewed interest in the Silk Road has led to collaborations between governments and local businesses to protect and promote historical sites along the route. The modern Silk Road reaches back to Zhang Qian's vision, the trailblazer who first forged connections between the East and West over 2,000 years ago. His determination to establish diplomatic and trade routes with distant lands set the foundation for this vast network of exchange today, not just for goods, but for culture, ideas and technologies. Today, the spirit of his journey lives on as nations across continents collaborate, build infrastructure and enhance connectivity in ways that Zhang Qian could scarcely have imagined. A vision that, though adapted to the needs of the present, draws inspiration from the pioneering steps taken by him so long ago. In this way, the Silk Road, both ancient and modern, continues to bridge civilizations, fostering a global exchange that transcends borders and cultures, just like Zhang Qian had envisioned.